Okay, we're going to get started with week 3 of IT 241. I hope the week is going well for you so far. We have a lot of material to cover. And again, if I don't get through it, I will try to record it for you if we go past the 11 o'clock time. Unfortunately, today I can't stay much past 11 o'clock, so if there's a lot to do, what I will do is just come into our Blackboard Collaborate session and record the rest for you later this afternoon my time, which would be, in the nighttime for you, so I wouldn't expect you to attend. So I'm actually kind of doubtful that we're going to get through everything because there's some other issues about the assignments that I need to discuss first. The first thing I wanted to talk about was week 2 and how that went. Some of you participated in the discussion board. I was very happy with what I saw there. There was good discussion regarding processes and threads. You were asking each other questions. You were helping each other by pointing out things that the original poster might have missed in discussing some of the differences between threads and processes. And so I was fairly happy with what I saw out there. So that was good. The week 2 exercises, however, there was a number of issues with those exercises. And as I said in the email I sent to you, I had to get some of them resolved. I needed clarification from the administration on how I should handle some of these things, and I will be talking about that with you today. First of all, some of you reported having technology issues. What I've been told is that I need to hold you responsible for being able to access this class, whether it be computer problems. Siham said that my voice is cutting up. Can you hear me okay now? You can hear me okay now? Okay. I'll keep talking. Let me know if there's a problem. Siham, if it's just your system, you may want to try to get out of Blackboard and get back in, or get out of Collaborate and get back in. Okay. So some of you had technology issues during the week. What I've been told is that you're responsible to make sure you can access the class, whether it be, having internet problems, having, computer issues, and so forth. In saying that, what that means for you is there's some planning that you need to do to ensure that you can meet the deadlines. Don't wait till the last minute to submit your assignments, because the last minute is usually when the problem is going to occur. Okay, what I've been told is that you need to realize that this is part of everyday life. Okay, and I know from personal experience, I worked as a consultant for a number of years, and we had deadlines when we promised our code would be delivered to a customer, and often when we didn't deliver, no matter what the reason, we were penalized. Often financially, as well as getting a bad reputation or whatever with that customer. So you really need to make sure that you work through some technology issues. Now, I've talked to some of you, and I know that it's not as easy for you to access additional technology. In other words, to get internet access if something happens at your home, for instance, it's not easy to find somewhere else you can go to access the internet because of, you know, driving restrictions and those types of things. But the fact remains is this is an online class, and as part of it being an online class, you know, you are responsible to be able to get online, and there's really not much I can do about that. That being said, if there are late assignments due to technology issues, this is the policy I've been given to deal with that. The first time it happens, you'll be able to submit the assignment late with a 20% point penalty for the late submission. Okay? Now, in the past, I've told you 25% for late submissions. I'm modifying the policy to say 20% for late submissions. If it happens a second time where, you know, you're not able to access the course for some reason, a technology issue, you will get a 0 on the late assignment, or if you don't submit the assignment. Now, if there's a system-wide outage, let's say SEU has a system-wide outage, and I'm made aware of that, of course, I wouldn't penalize you for technology problems on the university side. These are just technology problems that you may be having. And again, I've been told this policy, so this is what I need to adhere to as an employee. So you'll get assessed a 20-point penalty for a late submission. After that, you'll get 0 points. Okay, the biggest issue I ran into this week, and this is something that has made me very upset, is what I would call academic dishonesty. In the first week, we talked a bit about doing things on the discussion board and writing things in your own words, and that is very, very, very important. And when we got into week 2 and people worked on the discussion boards, I saw things were much better. There were 1 or 2 cases where people had simply copied and pasted from another source and posted it on the discussion board. That's academic dishonesty. Okay, regardless of how you feel about your English skills and or how comfortable you are with the material based on, you know, whether or not you have the prerequisite skills that are needed in the class, submitting all or part of another's work as one's own in an academic exercise, such as an examination, a computer program, or a written exercise, and this includes online writing like the discussion board, that's considered plagiarism. Now, I'm going to be sending out something to you later this week. Actually, the administration is going to be sending me some information that they want me to share with you, and I'll be sending out more on plagiarism this week. But I saw a lot of it in the first assignment. The majority of the students, more than half of the class, submitted work that I would consider to be plagiarized. And that's very, very concerning to me. Part of the dishonesty, part of what I would call cheating, was using unauthorized materials to create the answers. Okay, there is a solution guide, there is an instructor's manual for your textbook. It was very obvious to me that some of you have access to the solutions that are provided by the publisher. If you look at those solutions before answering the question, or if you copy those solutions before answering a question, that is considered cheating. I was so stunned by what I saw in the assignments this week. So if you do have a copy of the solutions to the exercises in the textbook, I would suggest that you get rid of it. If it's an online copy, delete it. Don't go there, okay? Your responsibility in this class is to learn, and by giving me the answers that you found somewhere else is not learning. And I understand there are language issues and so forth, but getting access to the instructor's guide is cheating. There's no other way. There's no other way around it. And I can't stress it enough that this will be dealt with on the university level. And Lativa said, you know, this way you will never learn. That's true. If you copy something, you're not going to learn it. You're just trying to get the grade in the class. But as soon as you get into a work situation where you're required to have those skills, you're not going to have them. Okay, so you know, if you have a copy of the instructor text, I would say get rid of it. You know, that way you won't even be tempted to look at it. Okay, another way that you could be considered academically dishonest is by helping someone else be academically dishonest. So if you complete an assignment for someone else or give someone else an answer, you are as guilty as they are of academic dishonesty. Okay, so and this is subtle. This is hard to do because I know from what I've seen in the class, you are very supportive of one another. You want to help one another, but there's a very fine line between helping someone and giving them the answer or doing the work for them. I've seen this in classes in the past where I've had students. This was a Java class, and I had a student send code to another student because the student number 1 was having trouble with the code. Student number 2, being a nice person, helped this student out by, you know, going through the code and making changes to help fix problems and to make their code better. In this case, both of them were guilty of academic dishonesty. Okay, Lativa has a question, and this is a good question. She said, discussion is fine, correct? Yes, it is to a point. But I do not want you to have group assignments. In other words, if you go into our open meeting, I do have a Blackboard Collaborate session available to you, and you start telling each other the answers, that's as dishonest as writing the answers, okay? But if you go into that room and you start discussing, you know, wow, I really don't understand the difference between first come, first serve scheduling and shortest job first scheduling. And you all have a discussion, kind of like we had on the discussion board where we were discussing some of the different topics in the class. You have a discussion, an honest discussion. That is not cheating. Okay, so I want you to understand the difference here because it is very, very, very important. You will have programming assignments in this class, and I know that some of you are very concerned about those, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But, you know, it's difficult for me to, you know, look at code sometimes and know whether you actually wrote it or you hired someone to write it or you found it out on the web. And this is a problem that we as teachers are having all the time. There are some very classic problems in computer science that we use in classes because they're very interesting problems, and understanding the solution teaches a lot about computer science, about software engineering, about programming, whatever it is we're trying to teach. Unfortunately, it means that these solutions are available all over the place. Okay, for instance, your book, I think in next week's assignment, or not next week's assignment, but next week's reading, it's going to talk about the dining philosopher's problem. And that's a classic computer science problem. I had to solve it when I was in school. You know, my professor had to solve it when he was in school, and so forth. You know, my husband did it when he was in school, and it's just a classic problem. But the goal was for us to solve it ourselves, not find the solution somewhere and turn that in as our solution. Okay, because the solutions are out there. I know they are. What I've done in the past in my classes, if I suspected that a student did not submit their own work, I will request a meeting with you, and I will ask you to explain the code to me, to go through it line by line. I will show you similar code and ask you to explain it to me, to show me that that was your work, not something that you got from someone else, that you paid someone to do, that you found on the web, that you found in the textbook solutions. Okay, so I will be looking for these things. It's something that's very, very, very important to me. So there will be a penalty for plagiarism. The first time, you will be given a one-time opportunity to redo the assignment without plagiarism, with a 20% penalty for academic dishonesty. Okay, you will be given one chance. And as far as I'm concerned, many of you have taken that one chance in your week 2 assignment because there was obvious plagiarism in the assignments. On the second offense and all others, you will get a 0. Okay, in both cases, I will be noting plagiarism in the comment section of the grade book, and the administrators are monitoring the grade books. So it's going to be up to them, if someone is a repeat offender, what they're going to do about this. I teach for Franklin University in the United States, and the policy in the past at Franklin has been, you know, the first time you get a warning and so forth. After that, you will be dismissed from the program. Okay, I don't know if that is the policy that SEU is going to have. I know it is the policy in the United States universities that I've worked for. You can see how serious this is. So you don't want to jeopardize your academic career by doing something that could be considered dishonest. It's just so important. I just can't stress it enough. You notice here that it says a 20% penalty for academic dishonesty. In the past, I've told you that it's a 25% penalty for late assignments. I'm modifying that to now say all late assignments will be assessed a 20% penalty, but that is also the penalty for plagiarism. So I'm just going to make everything consistent here. So there will be a penalty. Now here's what I'm going to do about week 2. Okay, I've looked through all the assignments. I know which ones I consider to be plagiarized. In some cases, there were exact words taken from the web or from another source and submitted as the assignment. In other cases, it was obvious to me that you had access to the instructor's guide and you simply reworded it and turned it in as your own. That is also not acceptable. Okay, having access to the instructor's guide is not acceptable. I'm going to reset the assignment so that it will allow a second submission. Okay, and I will email you when I've done this so you know that you can resubmit your assignment. So the assignment's going to be reset to allow a second submission. Usually you're only allowed one submission. The deadline for the second submission will be Tuesday, February 18th. Now, the only reason I'm giving you till Tuesday is that I am waiting to get the academic dishonesty and plagiarism policy, the official one from the university, that I will send out to you. I also will be going over this policy again in my office hours next week. Okay, so that's next Tuesday. So, you know, if you're resubmitting your assignment and I say something in the office hours next Tuesday that makes you think, oh my gosh, I could get in trouble for this, you can go and change it. Okay? Latifa, do you have a question? I will give you access to the microphone.
Hello everyone. Hello teacher. I just want to ask you regarding the assignment. Can you clear your point regarding if you meant to say that answering the assignment, I read the book, then I rewrite it in my own words. This is acceptable or what? Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to turn my microphone back on. I've been talking here. I did hear you, Latifa. I'm sorry. What I'm talking about, Latifa, is in week 2, there was an exercise where you had to discuss the difference between Linux and the way it handles processes and threads and the way Windows handles processes and threads. Now, there was a very specific answer that was in the instructor's guide, in the instructor's solutions for that exercise. Many of you gave me that answer. The problem is that exact answer cannot be found in your textbook. That exact answer was the author's answer to that question. If I was writing the answer to that question, and I've read the textbook and I know this topic fairly well, I would not have come up with that exact answer, because there's a lot of thought that had to go into it, and there were a lot of ways it could be answered. The textbook instructor's guide gives me one example of how it could have been answered. Okay, that is not acceptable. Some of you, though, did obviously come up with your own answers to that question, and like you were saying, Latifa, you went and read the book and you came up with your own answer. And if I'm remembering your assignment correctly, I believe you were one of the ones in the class that did that. And I can't be 100% sure without looking at your paper again. But that was perfectly acceptable. Okay? That, Latifa, for instance, I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't submit for a second time, because you already gave me your own words, your own work on this assignment. You know, I'm just saying that I haven't looked at your assignment again to verify that, but you know whether it was your own work or not. Okay? All right. Any other questions on that? So if you, okay, Monroe is asking, will I correct it before the next submission? Are you saying the resubmitted one, will I correct it before the next submission? Your homework assignment this week is due on Sunday. I am giving you until Tuesday to resubmit your second submission for week 2. Okay, so week 3 will come back to me before I am able to grade the week 2. Okay, that's just how it is. That's the price you have to pay for turning in an assignment that wasn't your own work. Okay, so in week 3, your week 3 assignment is still due on Sunday. Your week 2 resubmit is due on Tuesday. Okay, did that answer your question, Monera? Okay, if you want me to grade your first submission, I mean, you know, okay, Monera asked, so I will correct this week's homework assignment, yes, before the second submission of week 2. Okay, so this week, your assignment this week is still due on Sunday, and when we get to that, I will explain how I want you to answer the questions. But I will be grading your week 3 submission before the resubmitted week 2 assignments. That is correct. If you want me to grade okay, oh, you're asking me if I'm going to grade your, no, you're asking me if I'm going to grade your week 2 submissions that you already put in? No. You know whether or not you submitted an answer, an honest answer or not, okay? You know that. Those of you who submitted an honest answer, send me an email saying grade week 2 first submission, okay? The one that you turned in last Sunday. If you want me to grade that, send an email to me saying that, and I will grade that for you, and you will get that back. If you are concerned that your week 2 submission was plagiarized or dishonest in some way, take the time to resubmit it. So the people who send me a grade week 2 first submission email, I will grade them as soon as I can. As soon as I get that email from you and you know that you're comfortable with what you already submitted for week 2, I'm happy to grade that. For those of you who are not sure that you submitted something that was academically honest and you want to do the second submission, you don't have to send me an email. I will just grade whatever I get by Tuesday. Is that clear? I'm going to give you the microphone in case anybody wants to talk instead of type it in. Go ahead, Arwa. Okay, Hala asked, she understands that the grading is going to be dependent on your email to me. Yes, I want you to really think about it and think about whether or not you submitted honest answers. Okay, and some of you did. Some of you did, no doubt about it. Some of you did not, and I truly believe you know who you are. So I am not going to grade dishonest assignments. But those of you who submitted an honest assignment, and you know it, tell me that you want me to grade it, and I will grade it as soon as I can. Okay? And actually, of the assignments that I received last Sunday, I would estimate maybe 7 of them were what I considered honest assignments. Okay, Arwa, you say that you can't speak. You can type your questions in if you're having problems using. I'm sorry, I broke up. If you're having problems using the microphone, you can type in your question. Something that I just typed, or I attempted to type, I see I have some typos, but if I never get an email from you and you don't submit a new week 2 assignment, I'll assume that you want me to grade what you submitted originally. Okay? So the people who already submitted an assignment and you don't care about seeing your grade right away, you don't have to do anything, and I'll just grade your first assignment after February 18th. If you want to get your feedback sooner, send me an email. Does that make sense? And this is only for people who are not worried about having done any kind of academically dishonest activities in their week 2 assignment. Okay. And those of you who plagiarism wasn't a problem, I'm sorry you have to sit through this. I truly am. But it's kind of something I have to discuss with the class as a whole. Okay. The second submission will earn up to 12 points. You will be assessed that 20% penalty that I mentioned before. And the reason, again, that I'm giving you up until Tuesday to do the assignment or resubmit the assignment is that I want to make sure that you receive this additional information regarding plagiarism. That's going to be emailed to you and that I'm going to discuss in next week's office hours. I know Arwa had a question. Are there any other questions on this at this time? If you're still confused, feel free to email me or talk to me in some way. Okay, Sahar said that it's too much having 2 chapters in each week. On the one hand, I agree with you. There is a lot of work in this class, and there's no denying it. But it's not unlike anything I've experienced in other upper level classes that I've taken. Okay. Again, I didn't design this course. I don't have control over that, but it is what it is. And this is the course that the university, this is the assignments that the university has told me that is part of this course. Okay. I really have no control over that. Okay, you can make your concerns known, and I truly believe, and let me say this, honestly, I believe you are hard workers. I can see the amount of work that you're doing. Okay, I can tell from the questions you asked me and so forth. Muna, I also don't have control over the exercises. Okay, I've been given, the information that is in your class. That's what I was given as requirements for this class. Okay, the exercises, the programming assignments, the readings. That is what I have to work with as well as you. Okay. Now, and I'll be talking a little bit more about this in my next slide. But I've had some conversations with some of you, and I understand how overwhelmed you're feeling. I really do. I was a graduate student. I was a mom. I was a worker full-time. I've been where you are. I really have. And so I know it is very, very hard. And I will try to help you in any way I can, but I cannot reduce the amount of work in the class. I cannot reduce the amount of chapters that you're required to read. I cannot give you fewer exercises. I've been given this as a framework. And what you're going to need to do is work with someone at your university level to let them know that it's just too much. I believe you have academic advisors that you can talk to. You may want to talk to your academic advisor. Also, I will be giving feedback, and I have been giving feedback to my supervisors, okay, the people from Franklin University who are working with SEU. And I have been giving them my feedback about the workload, about the prerequisites, and so forth, okay? So I understand where you're coming from. I can only do so much, okay? All right. Hala, I believe it was Hala, asked what information is going to be on the final exam, or all the chapters going to be on it. This is another case where my hands are kind of tied. I am not making up the midterm exam or the final exam, okay? That is being done by faculty at SEU, and I don't know if it's being done in conjunction with other faculty from my university or not, but I am not making up that exam. I have been told that all the material in the textbook reading, your assigned readings, could be on the exams. Now, I'm going to try to find out more about that and you know, try to help you in what I can, but that's the information I have at this point, that anything in the assignments can be on the exams. Okay, and even if it's not in an exercise that you do, even if it's not covered in the online sessions, because you know there is a lot of material and there's only so much time we have in these online sessions. So even if it's not in an exercise or covered in an online session, I've been told that you're still responsible for it. Okay, that's what I've been told. Now, again, if I get visibility to the exam, I will look at the exams, and I will give feedback to the people who created the exams, as well as you know anyone else I can, if I think that they are unfair. But that's really all I can do. Arwa, you have a question?
Yes,
I'll give up the microphone, or you can type it in. Yes, I can.
First of all, thanks for everything that what you're trying to do it for us. But actually, I wanted to make this clear that we are struggling here with this this material, because we're trying to understand what is it about. It's not all the students in the same level, so we don't want you to get bad idea about us that we are we're trying to cheating or copy paste. Actually, we are working hard, but we're trying to understand. Like the last assignment, actually, it's supposed to be easy, but to be honest, it's understandable. We try to read more than one answer. We look for we go back for the book, and still we couldn't understand very much. So some of us take some answers and trying to put it in their own words, not because they are just want to cheating or take the easy way. They are trying actually to understand. So that's the big major point. So we really hope that you can understand this. And thank you, bro.
Okay, let me just say I don't have a bad impression of you, and you know, that was what I wanted to talk about next is that I know some of you are struggling. Actually, a lot of you are struggling, and there's not much I can do about what education you got in classes prior to this. I honestly can't do anything about that. The exercises that you are given are exercises from the textbook, so you should be able to read the textbook and come up with an answer. Now, like I said, the one exercise last week, it wasn't like you could read one section of the textbook and know, oh, that was the answer. You had to understand things about how threads were handled in Unix or Linux, how threads were handled in Windows, how processes were handled in both those operating systems, and then compare or contrast how, what the differences would be. Okay, what implications were there for the operating system in those two cases? Okay, so this was a thought question. You could read the book from now till next year and you would not find the exact answer to that question in the textbook. So what you needed to do is piece together information that you did know and try to give me an answer. Of course, you're not going to get it right all the time, but that's kind of what I'm here for. I will give you feedback on that. I will tell you, you were on the right track here, but you missed this point, and look at this again. When I grade it, that's the kind of feedback I will be giving you to let you know. I won't just say, oh, you got an 8 out of 10 on this assignment. I will put comments, and the reason why I've asked you to submit Word documents is that I actually go in the Word document and I will put comments in your assignment to help you answer the question better. Okay? So Sahar says, it's good to try even if they're incorrect. Yes, I mean, it's just an academic honesty question. It's better for you to give me your answer, the best you can, even if it's the wrong answer. And some of these questions don't have 100% right answer. In other words, if you gave me an answer that didn't match the answer from the textbook, but it was still correct, because like I said, the question about threads in Linux, that wasn't the answer I would have given if I didn't know what the instructor's guide said. When I first read your assignment and I read through all these, I came up with my own answer to that question. My answer doesn't match what the textbook says, but my answer is right. I know it's right. I'm the professor. Okay? So I'm not just going to try to match you up, have something match exactly to what was in the textbook. I'm looking for what did you learn? What did you know? So that learning is what I'm looking for, not a perfect answer. Although a perfect answer would be nice if you know it. Okay. Monora, you have a question?
Yeah, hi, Prof. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Prof, do you hear me?
Yes. Okay, I don't know what happened with Monora. Hopefully, it looks like she had to get out of the room and get back in. But hopefully there will be some question that she could share with us. And Monora, just type in your question if you have it, or try to use the microphone again. Okay, paraphrasing, is it okay? Yes, paraphrasing is very okay. And remember in the discussion, when we had our week 1 discussion, I gave you some tips about how to paraphrase, how to write things in your own words. In other words, read it, wait a while, then write your own thoughts about it. That's fine. That's no problem at all. And in some cases, there's not going to be much variation. There's not much else you can say besides what the book says. In other words, one of your questions was about what happens during a context switch. Well, everybody's answer is going to look pretty much the same on that one. Okay? It won't be the exact words from the book, but it'll be, very similar. That's what it's supposed to be, because you learned that from the book. So yes, paraphrasing is okay, but remember to give yourself that bit of time. Don't read something and then immediately write your answer while you can still see what you read. Okay? Because what happens there is, without even realizing, some of those same words are going to come out in your writing because it's coming from what you're looking at rather than what's in your own brain. So I would say do your reading, close the book, get away from the website, whatever it is you're doing to learn the material, get away from that, and then write your answer. Okay, does that make it clearer? Okay, Sahara, you said that's what you did, but you're still afraid of taking a 0. Okay, somebody used 3 references for the last question and so forth, and there I understand. Okay, what I can do is this. There seems to be some confusion still as to what's considered plagiarism, what's considered okay. I've read through all your assignments already, and so what I'm going to do is I will go through all of them again, and I will send you an individual email, and that will in that I will tell you whether I am concerned about your answer and whether I think you should submit. Would that be helpful? Okay, great. Okay, I'm sorry, Monora. I did not understand that that was what you were asking. Okay, no problem. I can do that. All right. Okay, oh my goodness, we're almost out of time here. But there's one more thing that I want to talk about on this topic. Okay. I've been hearing a lot of concern about the prerequisites for this course. It's my understanding that you should have had IT 110, which is the operating systems system concepts, computer concepts, I forget what it's called, but it's IT 110. You should have had that. You should have had CS 140, which should have been a C programming class. And then you probably have already taken CS 141 as well, which has some Java programming in it. Okay, that's what I've been told is the level that you should have. Okay, so some people took 110 and 140 last semester. What about 141? Have you taken that? You're taking it now. Okay, are you doing Java programming in that class? Okay. Arwa says that you didn't have C. It's my understanding that CS 141 has C code. Is that not true? only Java and CS141? Oh my goodness. Okay. Huh. All right. I'm sorry. I was led to believe, and when I read the description for C140, it does say that you have C programming in that class. Oh dear. Because a lot of your assignments here, since you're working with a Linux virtual machine, when you're working on some of this code, you're asked to do things like use P threads, not Java threads, and so forth. Huh. Okay. Huh. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to figure out what to do about that, because your assignments are asking for C programming. Some of them, and some of them are asking for Java. So I'm going to go back to my supervisors and talk to them about that. And yes, Latifa, you did explain that to me yesterday, but I didn't know if that was the case for everyone. So that is why I wanted everyone to kind of talk to me about it now, so I get more than your view of it. The other thing that did come up in the discussion that I had with Latifa yesterday, and is that your coding skills are not what I would expect in the United States. Okay, in courses in the United States, you are given a lot of programming assignments where you are expected to write program after program after program. Okay, I understood from Latifa yesterday, and from what you're telling me today, that is not what's happened in your educational experience. Okay, I understand that now. I have to figure out how to deal with that. Okay, because the course is set up so it expects that you know programming in C and in Java. And I know in your textbook there's lots of programming in C. Okay, and I can see why you're struggling, because you don't know C. All right, so I'll try to figure out how to work with this. I'll work with my supervisors as well to see what we could do. But one of the things that I talked about with Latifa yesterday is that you do just know more of the conceptual level, not the hands-on level. I will try to give you a little bit more of the focus on the programming, just to make sure you understand the examples in the book. The other thing that I discussed with her is that a lot of you don't show up for my office hours for whatever reason. You obviously have a lot of questions, but you're not showing up for those. If people don't have questions, specific to the course, I can do some talking about programming and kind of step through how to develop programming logic and that type of thing in my office hours. Would that be helpful to you? Okay, so I will plan to do that. Wow, I'm getting a much clearer picture of where you guys are coming from, or I shouldn't say guys, I know you're girls, but where you are coming from, and I can help you. Latifa says, told you. She did tell me, she really did, and she was pretty emphatic about it. And I did, in fact, Latifa, I did pass that on to my supervisors, and what they came back to me with is that the prerequisites have been established. You should know C and Java. That's what I was told. I will go back to them again and say, no, they did not learn how to program in C, and they did not have assignments in Java where they could practice programming. I will make that very clear to my supervisors who are working with people in SEU. Okay? Sahar asked that I teach you programming also. I will do what I can in this class, but I only have limited time, and I do care about you. I do want you to be successful, but I can only do so much. So just be aware of that. I will try to help you as much as I can. Okay. We're out of time here. I did want to just mention something about your week 3 assignment, since we're having this whole discussion about assignments. The week 3 assignment, again, there are 2 exercises from the book. These are the exercises from the brown book. I tell you the exercises for the blue book. Again, I want all the answers to be your own original work, and this week's answers are pretty simple. You could give me a 1-line or in some cases a 1-word answer, so it would be very hard for me to know whether or not this is your own work. So I'm asking you, as a requirement for this week, is to explain your answers. So if you give me an answer of shortest job first scheduling, for example, I want you to explain to me why you think the answer is shortest job first or shortest remaining first scheduling. Okay, so for week 3, when you're working on your assignment, explain your answers. Okay, and again, if we're kind of all working through this and trying to understand where you're coming from, and you're trying to understand where I'm coming from. I'll do the best I can to work with you. But if you give me a 1-word answer and that 1 word matches the 1 word that's in my answer key, I will not give you credit for that work. Okay? I want to see the explanation. I want to see your learning. Okay? Because that's the only way I know really where you're coming from. All right? I'm going to let you go for now. I didn't get to any of the materials for week 3, okay, but I think this was a very important discussion that we had. What I'm going to do is sometime when I have time, I will go into our course room and I will record my lecture for today, my week 3. I will go through my charts and talk about them, and I will send you an email so that you could access the recording. All right? Okay, I'm going to let you go for today. Feel free to continue asking me questions here if you have the time. If you have to go, feel free to leave. And have a good week. Email me if you have questions. Ask things on the discussion board if you have questions. We're here to learn together, to work together. And I'll try to help you in any way I can. Arwa, did you have a question? So Hala asked, is the deadline for week 3 the same? Yes, the deadline for week 3 is still Sunday, February 16th. Okay, Hannah asked, could I explain what's required for the question 3 in the assignment? Hannah, are you asking about the week 2 assignment? The question about the threads and Okay. All right. So you're asking about the threads and Linux question. Linux versus Windows and how they handle threads and processes either the same or differently. Okay. And I kind of tried to talk about this a little bit last week in my lecture, and I did try to put some things out on the discussion board when I was still getting questions about it. But basically, what I was looking for here, or what I am looking for if you're going to resubmit the assignment, is that you understand the difference between the way Linux handles threads and the way Windows handles threads and processes. Okay, so that's the first thing that I'm looking for from you. And I talked about that already. And so you should have, some idea about what some of the differences are, and that is talked about in your book as well. Once you understand what some of the differences are between the threads and processes and how they're handled in the two different operating systems, you could then tell me, okay, if Linux, for example, handles processes and threads the same way, what does this mean for the work the operating system has to do? Is it easy for the operating system to create new processes, or is it easy for the operating system to create new threads? Maybe I should phrase it this way. A lot of times the reason people use threads is that they're lighter weight than a process. If Linux handles threads and processes the same way, what does that mean? Does the operating system have to work more in some cases when it's working with a Linux thread versus a thread on Windows? Okay. What about resources and how resources are allocated? What are the implications there? If there are, two processes in the Linux case versus the Windows case. Okay, so you can see it's not just an answer you're going to find in the book. You're going to need to actually think about, okay, I now know that Linux and Windows handle threads differently. What does that mean? What does that mean to the operating system? Is there more work for the operating system because of it? Are there things that it's going to be easier for the operating system to do because of it? And so forth. So that's the kind of answer that I'm looking for. In some cases, maybe in some things that the operating system does, maybe it's going to be easier because processes and threads are the same in Linux. Maybe it'll be harder because processes and threads are different in Windows. That's the kind of thing that I want you to think about. Think about all those services that an operating system provides. It does the scheduling of processes and threads. It does the resource allocation. It does accounting for, what resources have been used by a process. Okay? Is that easier or harder if processes are the same as threads, like they are in Linux, or very similar to threads, like they are in Linux? That's what that question is asking. Does that help? Are there any other questions? I can stay on here for about 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to need to get off. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, it seems that there are no more questions. I am going to leave the session at this time, unless anyone has a question in the next 15 seconds.